Yeah, the newest titles are going to drive sales. That being said, I don't think that one of the other ones in there, Redfall, really drove sales. I remember people being like, "Oh, it's going to be a great game," and I was like, I saw the preview stuff and the things. I'm like, I don't think so, man.
Speaking of people closing down studios while not having to deal with the repercussions of their actions, Microsoft decided to crap the bed today, and we weren't even going to be planning to discuss this, but it just happened.
As far as I understand, they closed down Tango Gameworks, which made Hi-Fi Rush. They closed down Arkane. I mean, obviously Redfall was a big debacle, but
Arkane Austin, to be specific.
But still, I feel like they got
Alpha Dog
screwed
Studios
over.
and Roundhouse Studios. Alpha Dog was responsible for some mobile games, and Roundhouse was involved in development in Redfall.
And they were also like, that was Human Head kind of reincarnated.
Yeah, after stealing the Prey franchise from them. It's like...
Right. But man, talk about, I feel like both Arkane Austin and Tango, like there were decisions made up in the C-suite that really damaged their games, and they're paying the price for it. Like, I don't think anyone developing Redfall, it was their idea to turn that into a live service game midway through. And I don't think anyone working on Hi-Fi Rush would have said, hey, let's shadow drop this and not market it at all. And so then you get these things that hurt the sales of their games and hurt the income, and that's being used against them now.
Question, and maybe I haven't had a chance to really get into Hi-Fi Rush. I've seen it, and I don't know if it's on PC now. But what I was going to say was, I'm under the impression that game, despite being just shadow dropped out of the ether, sold incredibly well. Like
it was on Game Pass, and it was an Xbox exclusive. So I don't really know how well it sold.
Okay.
Here's the thing, it shouldn't matter, because Microsoft are the ones who are all like, oh, we're going to push Game Pass. We're buying up all these studios so that we can have exclusive games for this service that people will want to play. So they're not focusing on raw sales anyway, because they're doing the Netflix model where the success of a game is based on how many people will sign up to Game Pass. So,
but it's so hard to tie that and know which signups were based on that game.
Outside of, I mean, I know Netflix does it, as far as I was aware, because this happened when One Piece live action came out. They tracked how many people subscribed to Netflix, and the first thing that they watched was the One Piece live action thing. So you could probably do something similar, and I mean, stats can be tracked and measured and manipulated in any number of ways. But I think that Words is correct, though, with the fact that the idea is that, am I going to pay $60, I don't know, every couple of months, or am I going to pay $20 every month? It doesn't matter. You're still getting the $60, $70, and I'm just playing something. And yeah, the newest titles are going to drive sales. That being said, I don't think that one of the other ones in there, Redfall, really drove sales. I remember people being like, oh, it's going to be a great game. And I was like, I saw the preview stuff and the things. I'm like, I don't think so, man. I've been around for a while. And
did play it on Game Pass. Let's just say it's not installed on my hard drive anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I can believe that.
It is not good. It is... I can't even be elaborate here. It's just bad. It's
look. I want to
imagine if you took everything about Dishonored and took out all its personality, all its charisma, all its good writing, all its well-designed AI, and just came up with a generic Zoomer vampire game. That's Redfall.
So, to people watching this, if you are enjoying Redfall or any other game that might be slagging off a little bit, that's good. I'm glad you found enjoyment. The opinion of the people on this panel may differ when it comes to the third thing that we're talking about. But the point that I'm getting at is that if you're enjoying it, that's great. It's just there were some technical limitations, and some lack of reception, which sadly is going to be the blame for why there are certain people out of a job.
Yeah, it was not good. Hi-Fi Rush, on the other hand, I mean, it was a Game of the Year candidate. It was an awesome game. I had a blast with it. It's
Hi-Fi
like
Rush is
visually great to
bloody
look at. It's
amazing.
fun to play. Yeah,
Like,
I
and here's
recommend
the thing,
it to anyone.
Tango, as a company, has a legacy. This is freaking Shinji Mikami, the dude that created Resident Evil.
Oh yeah, like that guy spun straw into gold. I remember the first Resident Evil.
The Evil Within.
Oh yeah, that was brutal. I remember I was sitting with my ex-wife years ago when I bought the Evil Within on like launch day for the PS4, and like I'm sliding down that pit, avoiding the spinning blades of death, and then I'm in a pool of blood, and I was like, whoa, that's kind of intense. Like, you know, and she was sitting there like, wow, that's, and then the chain, like the maniac guy, I forget what his name is, but you know, he's always got the chainsaw chasing after you. Like, yeah, those are great. Those are great designs.
You know what? Okay, so I can understand why Arkane Austin was closed. They spent 5 years. Nobody's losing a job is never good, but they spent 5 years making a game that didn't sell. Okay, sure. Fine. But it sucks. You gotta focus on like your successes. But Tango Gameworks has like a massive amount of creativity under your belt. Having that creative element, Sony used to understand this. Having those creative divisions is necessary to get people invested into your company to buy or into your hardware, because it's all about the games. Nintendo doesn't go around closing down studios. Even if one game doesn't sell like 5 million copies, they'll just get them to do something else because they have the safety net of Nintendo. And isn't that the whole point of them buying these developers in the first place? That they have a safety net to create new games?
That's what's so baffling. Yeah. Why go out and spend that kind of money and then turn around and just start closing
I don't know,
studios
ask EA.
right?
Fucking,
yeah, so something I want to bring up here is it's a concept known as creative debt, right? So what's going to happen is that you've got all these really cool games that have been made in recent years, and some of them fantastic, some of them people really love, so whatever. But the point is that it takes a team to make these. A team has to have a certain amount of gelling together to work together, creative and technical skill. And if you keep laying people off, then eventually you don't have anything that makes you stand out. It's one of the reasons why some of these indie hits come and you're just like, oh, wow, that's amazing. Helldivers being one of them. You know, I had not heard of Helldivers in years, and then all of a sudden, out of a little small, you know, mid-level studio, legitimately could be a game of the year. And it's because they work together. Or Larian, you know, a lot of people last year were like, oh, well, you know, is this the new standard for RPGs? No, because they have not only the technical capability and the funding and the time and the experience, but they all have had it and worked together and spent many, many years and probably millions of man hours working on this product. So no, anybody trying to copy that success is going to end up with an unreasonable facsimile. So it's the idea of if you cannibalize your future, then nothing is left but oblivion, which is, funny enough, we're going to call it, it's a concept, you guys stick with me here, Starfield. We're going to call it Starfield.
Yeah, how the fuck is that company still going when they literally create the most uninspired dreck? I'm not even going to be gentle here. Bethesda, their games are fucking boring. Their stories are boring. Generally, their characters are boring. Someone recently went through Starfield and realized that except for maybe like one or two occasions, every single dialogue tree is just pure deception. That it's always going in one track, and no matter what you do,
all go to the same place.
It never veers off that. Even it gives you the illusion of choice, which is probably, at least compared to their old games, there actually was choices. But Starfield doesn't even have that. How is this crap still going? Where some of the greatest like industry veteran, you don't have a job anymore, go work somewhere else.
So one of the things I want to mention, and I've heard this as for Bethesda mentioned, I think it rings more and more true every year, is Bethesda makes the best 7 out of 10 games in the industry. meaning that they're technically proficient, and I say technically proficient as in it functions. Now, once you have a modding community that decides to actually give its goodwill to fix stuff, it becomes a lot better. And then you might get an 8 out of 10 out of it. But Words, I think you're right. It's the fact we're in space, and like I remember, if I contrast the Outer Worlds to Starfield, yeah, Outer Worlds is smaller, but it has there's a personality there. You know, look, we're not the best choice. We're Spacer's choice. And I get that Fallout is different than the Fallout style of things is different than the Elder Scrolls, except for the fact that Bethesda kind of merged the two with Skyrim and had the cinematic executions and the stuff. And the best thing came out of Skyrim, especially my favorite version, the 11th special release edition. It was for toasters. Was the meme at the beginning? Oh, so you're awake? You know, like that's one of those things. So Bethesda, I remember I put hundreds of hours into Morrowind when I was younger. I guess maybe I'll pick it up.
I put hundreds of hours into Daggerfall. Like I lost my life to Daggerfall. I liked Morrowind. It had a lot of unique creative identity, but the newest stuff just bores me to tears. It's I want to find a positive way to end this, but I don't know how. Like fuck you, Microsoft. I'm sorry. That's all I have to say on this. Those are my closing thoughts.
Microsoft has done at least one good thing this past couple of months, and I believe that Bobby Kotick is no longer at Blizzard. So, you know, like we can hang our hat on at least one person. You know, Sweaty Bobby. You could look him up on things.
I'd rather not.
I know you don't want to, but
I would like to keep my lunch inside.
My point is that we can at least say that something's there, and Game Pass, despite being attached to, I guess, what is being a terrible laying off company, Game Pass is still a very good thing.
You know, I look at the game Mighty Doom. I think Alpha Dog made that mobile game, and the game itself was actually a lot of fun. But you get a few hours into it, and then the monetization just becomes so heavy. Like you get to a point where you can't even move forward unless you spend some money on it. And I hope. You know, I talked about earlier, like these companies learn the wrong lessons. I hope the lesson they learn from this is you've got to have a fun game. It can't just be.
I don't think they're going to learn anything from this. I think the only thing they're going to learn from this is that we can shut down companies and put people out of a job and increase our bottom line and give our shareholders more money.
Who else can we
Because
shut
capitalism
down?
is completely fucking broken, and it's getting worse and worse every fucking day.
You can't have infinite growth. That's just not a thing.
Tell them that. They're worth $1 trillion now.
I would love to.
Imagine having a market cap of over $1 trillion and laying anyone off. You could afford to pay those people's wages. Like,
didn't Satoru Iwata cut his salary in half?
Yeah.
When the Wii U didn't sell well.
Yeah.
I mean, he's dead now. Rest in peace.
I messaged Phil Spencer and I was like, "Hey Phil, you're gonna take a pay cut so you can get through these struggling times." Of course, didn't get a reply because he's too busy swimming in his little pool of cash.
Yeah,
I used to like Phil, but
well, people change and grow. Sometimes not always in positive directions. But I
never meet your heroes.
Well, yeah. Unless you meet me, in which case.
Make Nim your hero. He's a good role model. Hey there, folks. I know nobody wants to listen to a creator shill themselves for 90 seconds, so I'm not going to. If you enjoyed this, we do the show live every Sunday on Twitch at 6 p.m. BST. Feel free to pop over TNEQL. And if you would like to support us in making the channel bigger and helping it grow, you can also check us out on Patreon, also at TNEQL. Take care of yourselves. Stay beautiful.